The news seems pretty depressing at the moment. Storms causing havoc and taking lives, and wars happening around our world, and the focus point at the moment between Russia and the Ukraine. Millions of people coming to terms with loss, either their homes and loved ones, or both. And then on top of this heartache, people fleeing their land and becoming a refugee. Frightening and terrible situations. People stuck in a wilderness, wondering where they go, where they call home, and will they ever see their country and loved ones again. We may not understand why awful things happen, but we want answers, and perhaps a meaning as to why and who we can blame. Even now, many of us generally dislike the not knowing and the uncertainties, unless it's in a form of a story, where we can decide the ending, and preferably a happy one. Or maybe, perhaps worse, the identity of those who blame can be put on, those of a different social class, colour, ethnic group, or religious group. It was no different in ancient Egypt, Israel. It was the victims of disaster themselves, made to feel unintentional victims in the first place, and blamed for their own misfortune. Jesus does, however, attempt to remove the notion of personal blame through accidents and unavoidable disasters. But he does imply that if we do not work at trying to change things and have faith in God, then we could end up far worse than disasters he described. For many of us, there is a terrible uncertainty about living with God because there's no foundation for which we can hold on to in times of trial. And the foundation that Jesus offers provides not only the strength we need to carry on, but it is love. Not the mushy love made up in stories or films, but the love which seeks justice, holds up against hardship and welcomes difference, love that endures through our own weaknesses and failings. Jesus offers each of us the opportunity to accept love that enables us to grow and see beyond the false love in others, and to be able to love them unconditionally as Christ loves us. This is the foundation we need to be able to begin growing the kingdom that God has given us. It's love that inspired Mary, love that carried Jesus through his ministry and on to his passion and death. But Jesus makes it very clear that without adopting his kind of love and following in his footsteps, we each place ourselves and our future of this world into greater uncertainty and risk. So Jesus invites us to arm ourselves against them and to be able to cope when they occur. For Jesus himself cannot be responsible for us and our safety if we choose to ignore his warnings and teachings, however much he might desire to do so. But he goes on giving us another chance. One of the secure aspects of Christianity is that each day we awake, we can turn over a new leaf and try afresh to live well. For if we are serious in our intentions to become the people that God is calling us to be, then love is our starting point, our foundation and action. Love is the measure of Christians because Jesus loved unto death. Love never stopped coming from him. And the awful things that we do to one another are not a failure of love on the part of the victim, but in the perpetrator who has ignored Jesus' warnings. And therefore, we are made for love, and it is for this love which we hope will save the world and help us to love one another.